The words left my mouth before I could stop them. "The Queen must be stunning," I muttered, staring at the holographic portrait dominating the embassy's grand hall. The Valanthe monarch gazed back from the image, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, skin like polished obsidian, and those distinctive silver markings that supposedly indicated royal bloodline. A sharp intake of breath behind me. Not human. The sound was too resonant, too layered. I turned. She stood 3 meters away, flanked by guards whose weapons were already half raised. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern. Skin like polished obsidian. Silver markings cascading down her neck, like frozen lightning. The portrait hadn't done her justice. "You are the human diplomat." Her voice carried harmonics that made my chest vibrate. "Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb, Your Majesty." I dropped into the formal bow I'd practiced for weeks, buying myself 3 seconds to process the catastrophic breach of protocol I just committed. "I wasn't informed you would be, clearly." She raised one elongated hand, and her guards lowered their weapons. But they didn't holster them. In Valanthe culture, commenting on a monarch's physical appearance without invitation is shy. Significant. The way she said significant made my blood run cold. I apologize unreservedly. "I meant no. You meant exactly what you said." She stepped closer, and I realized she was taller than me by at least 15 centimeters. Her 4 eyes studied me with an intensity that felt like being dissected. "The question is what you intended by saying it." I had no answer that wouldn't make this worse. "Among my people," she continued, her voice dropping to something almost intimate, such a statement from a foreign dignitary could be interpreted 3 ways. A declaration of courtship intent, a political maneuver to establish alliance through marriage, or... She paused, an insult suggesting I am merely decorative. "None of those," I said quickly. It was an observation. Nothing more. Humans make observations about monarchs' appearances? Casually. In their halls of power? When she put it that way, it sounded insane. We sometimes think out loud. It's a flaw. Her secondary eyes, the smaller pair, narrowed. "You expect me to believe the United Earth Coalition sent a diplomat who cannot control his own speech? I expect nothing, Your Majesty. I can only tell you the truth." The silence stretched. Her guards exchanged glances. Somewhere in the distance, I heard the Valanthe equivalent of whispered conversation. A subsonic rumble I felt more than heard. "The truth," she repeated. How refreshingly dangerous. She turned and walked toward the chamber's far doors, then paused, without looking back. "You will dine with me tonight, Lieutenant Commander. We will discuss what your observation means for the treaty negotiations. A beat, and whether you leave this planet as a diplomat or a political prisoner." The doors closed behind her. I stood alone in the grand hall, the holographic portrait still glowing, and wondered how a single muttered sentence had just put humanity's first major alien alliance at risk. The dining chamber was designed to intimidate. Vaulted ceilings disappeared into darkness. The table stretched 20 meters long, but held only 2 place settings, one at each end. Bioluminescent plants cast everything in shifting blue-green light that made it impossible to read expressions clearly. The Queen sat waiting, her posture perfect, her 4 eyes tracking me from the moment I entered. "You dressed formally," she observed, as I approached my designated seat. "The high-collar uniform, it restricts your throat movement. It shows respect. It shows submission. Among Valanthe, exposing the throat indicates confidence. Trust. She gestured to her own neck, where the silver markings were fully visible. "You have chosen to hide yours." I hadn't known. The cultural briefings had covered trade customs, religious observances, political structures, but not this. "May I?" I reached for my collar. "You would bare your throat to me?" After I threatened imprisonment? You asked about trust. This is my answer. I unclasped the collar and folded it down, exposing my neck. In the blue-green light, I probably looked vulnerable. Maybe ridiculous. Her secondary eyes widened, surprise I'd learned in Valanthe expression. Sit, she said. Eat. We have much to discuss. The food was unfamiliar, but edible. We ate in silence for several minutes, the distance between us making conversation awkward. Finally, she spoke. Your observation in the hall. You called me stunning. This word, my translators render it as causing temporary inability to function. Is this accurate? I nearly choked. It's a compliment. It means visually striking, impressive, beautiful. Beautiful. She tested the word. Humans use violence terminology for aesthetic appreciation? I suppose we do. Striking, stunning, breathtaking, drop-dead gorgeous. I paused. That last one is particularly aggressive, now that I think about it. Your species describes beauty as an assault. We describe many things as combat. Love is a battlefield. Business is war. Life is a struggle. I met her four-eyed gaze. Maybe we're just a violent people trying to find poetry in it. She was quiet for a long moment. The Valanthe have 700 words for the color of sky at different times of day, she said finally. We have 3 words for physical conflict, and all are considered obscene. Then, I've been obscene since I arrived, continuously. But something in her voice had shifted. And yet, there is something honest in it. You do not hide your nature behind pleasant sounds. Is that good or bad for the treaty? I have not decided. She rose from her seat and walked the length of the table toward me. Each step was deliberate, measured. Stand. I stood. She stopped an arm's length away, close enough that I could see the subtle texture of her skin, the way light played across those silver markings. Your heartbeat has increased, she observed. I can hear it. Are you afraid? Nervous, I admitted. There's a difference. Explain. Fear is about threat. Nervousness is about uncertainty. Not knowing what comes next. Not knowing if I'll say the wrong thing again. You are nervous about me specifically. Not my guards. Not imprisonment. Your guards follow orders. Imprisonment is a consequence. You are... I searched for a word that wasn't violent. You are the variable I cannot predict. Her head tilted, curiosity, according to my briefings. No one has called me a variable before. What do they usually call you? Majesty, divine light, she who speaks for the stars. A pause. Never something so mathematical, so human. I apologize. She stepped closer, and I held my ground. I find I prefer variable to divine. Divinity is static. Variables change. Is that what you want? Change? Her 4 eyes held mine, and for a moment, the diplomatic crisis, the treaty, the fate of human-Valanthe relations, all of it faded. I want, she said slowly, to understand why a human would risk everything to call a monster beautiful. You're not a monster. To your species, I should be. 4 eyes. Wrong proportions. Skin like stone. She raised one hand, letting me see the elongated fingers, the subtle scaling. Your evolutionary instincts should scream danger. They're screaming something, I admitted. But it's not danger. The silence between us was different now. Charged. Tomorrow, she said, stepping back, we will discuss the treaty. Tonight. She turned toward the door. Tonight, I will consider what it means that humanity sends diplomats who cannot lie even to save themselves. She paused at the threshold. For what it is worth, Lieutenant Commander, your throat is aesthetically acceptable. She was gone before I could respond. I stood alone in the blue-green light, heart pounding, and realized I was in far deeper trouble than imprisonment. The assassination attempt came at dawn. I woke to alarms, not the electronic screech of human systems, but a deep, bone-shaking vibration that seemed to come from the walls themselves. By the time I grabbed my sidearm and reached the corridor, Valanthy guards were running past, their weapons drawn. "What's happening?" I demanded. None of them answered. None of them even slowed. I followed. The Queen's chambers were 3 levels up, protected by doors that should have been impenetrable. One hung from its hinges, the metal twisted and scorched. Inside, chaos, overturned furniture, shattered bioluminescent plants, leaking glowing fluid across the floor, and bodies. Valanthy bodies. Her guards. And in the center of the room, the Queen, backed against a wall, facing 3 figures in black armor that definitely wasn't Valanthy design. Human design. "Stand down!" I shouted, raising my weapon. The assassins turned. Their helmets were featureless, but I knew the body language: surprise, resentment, decision. One of them laughed. "Webb, we wondered if you'd show. Who are you? Who sent you? Does it matter? The Coalition wants this alliance dead. Some of us are just more direct about it." They moved fast, faster than standard human capability. Enhanced. Military black ops, probably. The kind of deniable assets that didn't officially exist. I fired. The first shot took one in the shoulder, spinning him. The second went wide as another assassin closed the distance, combat knife flashing. I blocked, countered, felt the blade slice my forearm. Pain flared, hot and immediate. "Marcus!" The Queen's voice. Using my first name. I couldn't look. The assassin pressed his advantage, driving me back. His partner recovered, raising his weapon, a sound like thunder. The assassin in front of me simply stopped. His body went rigid, then collapsed. Behind him, the Queen stood with her hand extended, silver markings blazing with light I hadn't known they could produce. The remaining assassin turned to run. She made that sound again. Not thunder, I realized, but her voice, pitched to frequencies that shattered something fundamental in human neurology. He dropped, unconscious or dead, I couldn't tell. Then she was beside me, her hands on my wounded arm, her 4 eyes wide with something that looked like fear. "You're bleeding," I noticed. The adrenaline was fading, and the pain was getting worse. "You can weaponize your voice? All Valanthy can. It is not something we speak of to outsiders, because it's a secret, because it is shameful. Violence is obscene, remember? She was doing something to my wound. Her fingers secreted a substance that numbed the pain and seemed to slow the bleeding. I have not used that ability since I was a child. I swore I never would again. You saved my life. You saved mine first." She looked up at me, and this close, I could see the fear hadn't faded. "Why? Your own people sent those killers. You could have let them succeed. Returned home a hero to whatever faction opposes this alliance. I'm not that kind of human." "What kind are you?" The question hung between us. Around us, more guards were arriving, securing the room, but neither of us moved. "The kind," I said slowly, who meant what he said in the hall, even if he shouldn't have said it. Her hand was still on my arm. Her touch was cool, smooth, nothing like human skin. "And yet, the treaty," she said. "After this, my council will demand its cancellation. They will say humans cannot be trusted. Can we? Can any species?" She finally released my arm, stepping back. "I trusted you. Just now. When you ran toward danger instead of away. When you bled for a queen who threatened to imprison you. That wasn't about trust. That was about—" I stopped. About what? I couldn't say it. Not here. Not now, with bodies on the floor and politics crashing down around us. Later, I said. When this is sorted, when we know who sent them and why, when the treaty is saved or dead. I met her eyes, all four of them. Then I'll tell you what it was about. She studied me for a long moment. I will hold you to that, Lieutenant Commander. Marcus, I said. You called me Marcus before. I did. She turned to address her guards, issuing rapid commands in Valanthy. Then, over her shoulder, do not die before you fulfill your promise, Marcus. I find I am curious about the answer. The investigation took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of interrogations, diplomatic crises, emergency communications with Earth, and carefully worded statements that blamed rogue elements while everyone knew the truth was more complicated. 3 weeks of seeing the Queen only in formal settings, surrounded by advisors and guards, the distance between us measured in more than meters. But she kept me on the planet, kept me involved. And sometimes, across crowded rooms, our eyes would meet, and I'd remember her hand on my arm, her voice saying my name. The treaty survived. Barely. Modified, hedged with new provisions and oversight committees, but alive. On my last night before returning to Earth, a guard appeared at my quarters. The Queen requests your presence. Privately, I followed him to a part of the palace I'd never seen, a garden, open to the sky, filled with plants that glowed in colors I had no names for. She stood at its center, dressed simply, without the formal robes of state. You're leaving tomorrow, she said without preamble. My mission is complete, is it? She turned to face me. You made a promise, in my chambers, after the attack. I'd hoped she'd forgotten. I'd hoped I could leave without having to. You said you would tell me what it was about. Why you risked yourself. I remember. Then tell me. The garden was silent except for the soft hum of bioluminescent light. Above us, unfamiliar stars wheeled slowly across an alien sky. When I saw those assassins, I said carefully, when I saw you cornered, my first thought wasn't about the treaty. Wasn't about humanity's interests or diplomatic consequences. I paused. My first thought was that I couldn't let them hurt you. That I would do anything, to prevent that. Because I am a valuable ally. Because you are you. I stepped closer, close enough to see the subtle shifts in her silver markings. Because in 2 days, you went from a threat to a mystery, to someone I couldn't stop thinking about. Because when you called me a variable, I realized I wanted to be your variable. To be the thing in your life that changes, that surprises, that doesn't follow the expected pattern. That is... Daddy Dill. She paused, searching for words. That is not a diplomatic statement. No, da. It's not. It could be interpreted as courtship intent. Yes. Across species. Across cultures. Across everything that should make this impossible. Yes. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and touched my throat, the bare skin I'd learned to leave exposed around her. Your heartbeat, she murmured. It's doing that thing again. Nervous. Not afraid. I know the difference now. Her fingers traced down to my collar. Among my people, when someone of high status wishes to indicate openness to courtship, they offer a gift. Something personal. Something that cannot be replaced. What kind of gift? Instead of answering, she leaned close and spoke directly into my ear. Not words, but a sound. A frequency. It resonated through my skull, my chest, my entire body. And it was nothing like the weapon she'd used against the assassins. This music. Harmony dying. Something that made every nerve ending sing. When she pulled back, I was trembling. That, she said softly, is my true voice. The one I was born with, before I learned to modulate for diplomacy and war. No one outside my family has ever heard it. It's beautiful. There is that word again. Violence terminology. But she was smiling. I'd learned to recognize it in the subtle shift of her secondary eyes. You humans are very strange. And you Valenthi are very... I searched for the right word. Stunning. She laughed, a sound like bells and thunder combined. I am reassigning you, she said. Permanently, as humanity's ambassador to my court. That's not how diplomatic assignments work. I am the queen. I will make it work. She took my hand, her cool fingers interlacing with mine. Unless you object, I don't object. Good. She turned, pulling me deeper into the garden. Then, come. I want to show you the night-blooming flowers. They only open for an hour and they are, what is your word? Breathtaking. That's a violent word. I am learning to appreciate violent words. She glanced back at me, 4 eyes bright with something that looked like joy. When they come from the right human. We walked together into the glowing garden, hands intertwined, 2 impossible variables, in an equation that shouldn't have worked. But somehow, against all odds, it did. The end.
Ah, no se puede.
¿Crees que te pidan fotos?
Nah, no creo. Sí, depende, va. Pero no creo. Yo voy a pedir un chingo de fotos. Para mi corazón, la tempestad pasará. Mira, aquí no hay mucha gente estacionada. ¿Nos podemos estacionar aquí? No sé, la verdad, pero...
Sí, yo también quiero ver las chichonas, digo los cosplays.
¿Cómo? Sí cabe ahí, güey. Sí, creo que sí, chingue su madre. Ahí está. Que me voy a morir. Ya de cuenta que Dios. Ya me acabó esta madre. Pero ya nos vamos, güey. Cámara.
Come con calma, no te vayas a atragantar.
Vámonos a la verga ya ahorita. Ya es bien tarde.
Comprarás muchas cosas. Si te pregunta de qué estás vestido, diles que de Ariel.
¿Quién verga sería? Ah, de Rem. No digas mamadas, güey. No puedo aprender a Rem así, güey.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative.
Les encargo, si no escuchan, güey, el micrófono me avisen en putiza, güey. Porque no creo que se me pierda.
Compras una peluca en la Combe.
Si tienen, sí, te jalo.
Ok.
Pero en putiza, güey.
inferior, get off of me. This ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got.
Pelita con orejita. Miam, 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 M-A-A-M. Para que Dios sea tu Subaru tú.
Oh. Dale, de poder.
Una peluca con cola. Qué rico se me antojo.
Pues muy bueno. El problema que tenemos es que se pasan de verdad con los precios, güey.
Oni-chan, yamete kudasai.
So remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing
Como digo, quitarme el micrófono, perdónenme.
Modern kingdom for the taking.
Itadakimasu.
Quitadakimasu. No me gusta que me escuchen comer, masticar, vaya. Pero andamos en prisas, güey. Lo acabamos de tomar y jugar.
Qué rico ASMR mi compa.
Yo, güey.
Yo con los cupones que me mandan a la casa en periódico me sale a 9 pesitos apa. Andamos comiendo juntos nomás, no hay problema, jajaja.
No me gusta. A la verga, oye, era esa madre del pago, güey. Vete a la verga.